Alright. Hey everyone, how's it going? So, I have a bunch of stuff I want to go over. And the main thing that I want to go over is what I talked about in my last video. It was a DTube only video. But I want to go over some of the things that I was talking about before. I want to do that in a slightly clearer mindset. So, one of the things that was really troubling me when it came to Revulsion's release on Steam, which is also like a whole can of worms in and of itself. Like, how do I want to actually release the game? Do I want to like make it so that like I release it in small chunks, or put it up in Steam Early Access and you just like try to finish the game that way, or I don't know, all kinds of stuff. I've thought about going the same route as the guys that are doing Dusk are going. They're doing theirs like you pay for the pre-order. It's like $20, and you get the first episode now, and then you know you can play that, and then when the game is finally done, they'll release an additional 2 episodes. Um, I've thought about a few different things. I've also talked about many times before, like releasing uh, just having the demo of the game up or stuff like that. Although I don't know if having a demo is a good idea, because a lot of people will probably just play the demo and they'll be satisfied. They won't realize that there's a lot more to the actual full game. They might not care. It's sort of a thing. I know a lot of people who played the demo. I know a lot of people who played the demo that they were like, yeah, I want it more. Like, I would definitely pay money for this and stuff like that. I see that fairly often. But the overall consensus is that demos are bad if you release them before you release the game. Like, it might not actually garner interest, it could actually have the opposite effect. Uh, that has me a bit concerned, but there might actually be a better answer. So I was kind of going over the actual whole entire flow that I want to have in Revulsion from start to finish. And now I've actually come to the conclusion that I can plan out the entire game. I don't have to worry about doing any of this weird stuff. Which actually raises the question. I mean, if I have the opportunity to do this, shouldn't I just keep it as simple as possible and just release the full game? Like, everything. Um, so I'm going to kind of go over the basic gist of it. Uh, the flow of the game. I don't know how many hours it would end up being. Uh, but I do think that there will be some random generation, and it'll be a special portion of the content of the game. So, like, I don't know, like, the basic flow that I have in mind right now, like what you're seeing right now, is the entrance to the dark base, and you go about your way, kind of like going in, just clearing out enemies as you would normally do, uh, which will eventually lead you to this area up here, which is the first time, like when you beat this fight right here, this is the first time that you'll end up going into the undertunnels. So I can kind of go. You notice like this area right here is empty. I'm thinking that when you're in the undertunnels, there'll be times where you come back up and revisit the dark base from different like locations. Like there might be uh, for example, there's something that I'd already planned a while back, was an entrance into uh, you know, the undertunnels from over here, like, but you need to have your double jump or something like that in order to be able to get to this part. So like, there's actually a strong semblance, at least something that I'm pushing for, just through my own design, is not a Metroidvania, but kind of like a Zelda style thing, where you may actually find yourself like revisiting previous areas because you remembered, oh, there's a door over here, but you don't just have to rely totally on your memory. The reason why you don't have to do that is because you have the auto map, and the auto map will show little exclamation points on the level where there are things that you need to discover. So after you do all of this section that takes you to the under tunnels, I'll kind of give you a brief example of exactly what goes down in, goes on in the under tunnels. Um, you'll see like the area where the first real boss fight's going to be. So you go down in the under tunnels, and this will be the first time where I start to actually kind of open up your paths to the player. So you see like you can go this way, you can go this way, right? And then there's like you can tell right now the level's already fairly large. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's a little hard to look at right now because I don't want to do too many spoilers. So I'm keeping what I'm saying fairly brief. But basically, like you'll have a wire that's going through the middle of this that goes kind of like through here. It's pretty much visible from anywhere. And if you go this way first, then you'll realize that this door over here is locked. This will be the first area where you fight the first demon lord, which is an enemy that puts bombs basically at your feet, like energy explosions. And you have to keep running, otherwise he'll blow you up. And some stuff like that. So like you'll be like ducking behind pillars and shooting the guy and like constantly just moving around. But this door will be locked and there'll be a wire going all the way across this entire section until you complete this fight up here, and this will be the first introduction to the beholders. And you notice that there's beholders already kind of placed. They'll be spawned in during the actual power node fight, but once you do this, you'll see like one beholder will spawn in, and these guys are like mini bosses. They're not your regular enemy. They're not just like Keiko demons or something like that. These guys are actually kind of supposed to be tough. Like you fight one at a time. If you fight two at a time, it might be a lot. They have like 6 projectile thingies that they fire at you. They might fire eyeballs, like rockets or something like that. And they might also spawn ads, like fast zombies. So you'll probably be doing this area, and you'll be fighting one that's all over there, and then you'll be clearing out the fast zombies, and then you start taking shots at him again until more fast zombies spawn. These guys are pretty tough. They're not meant to be easy enemies. You do all that, and then it takes you through to here, and there's like stuff that goes on in here. I'm really gonna try not to do any spoilers. There'll be like a death spike obstacle area right here. You flip, and that leads you up to a switch here. This switch right here unlocks this door and unlocks this elevator, so that it's basically a shortcut if you fall down. And this doorway now gives you access to this, and once this doorway is unlocked, it stays unlocked forever. So you can like fast travel to this spot. Now you can go back down this way if you want to go back to the previous area, or now you have easier access to later in the level. And you go across this, moving platforms, blah blah blah, stuff like that. And then the first boss is over here, and that's one of the things too, is I kind of foreshadow kind of the first time you fight the first time you see the first boss in the game, which is very much inspired by the Contra, Super Contra, the big skeleton guy who opens the door, and he's just going to be a big head basically that you're fighting. Okay. So once you're done fighting the boss like that, that will lead up to here. Maybe there's like one more power node battle that kind of like opens up this section here, and then you flip this switch that opens this section here that leads up to here, and then there's like just one more area that kind of just leads back out again. And once you're back out again, oops, I just loaded the same level. It takes you back to the dark base. So once you're back in the dark base, you'll be over here. Now this is something that I've been planning to do for ages, but I just haven't gotten around to it because I've been kind of like doing other stuff. But Um, well, other stuff with the game. I haven't exactly been sitting on my thumb, but this is the first. This is another boss arena here, right? And basically, this is the foreshadowing of the Hell Fortress, which actually I think I'm just gonna have like a really badass fortress like out here, like the entire Hell tile set, and like have this as really like crazy, intimidating, super like over the top like Hell Fortress. You're you know, and then there's gonna be like the front gates basically right here, like fucking Castlevania kind of shit going on, right? Well, you fight a boss in this area right here in order to be able to open that up. Except there's a problem. Everything in the Hell Fortress starts at level 50. And by this point in time, you've been capped to level 10. So you do all this, and you fight the boss here. But what the boss does is he opens up um, animus portals. And you have to find all of them in the previous areas. And this opens up access to more areas in before. So like there'll be like points in time where you're getting a lot stronger and you're finding these animus portals. And the animus portals lead to basically infinite dungeons, but they'll be a little bit more calculated. Like each infinite dungeon will only go between certain level range. So like the first infinite dungeon will be between levels 10 and 20, and then stuff like that. So like you have to find each of them, and completing an infinite dungeon, one of these animus portals increases your level cap by 10, and you have to find all of them in previous areas, and that'll be kind of fun because I'll actually place them in places that were familiar before. Like you'll see, and you won't even know, like it'll be one of those things in a game where like you see something and you know that you end up coming back to it because it looks really relevant, but you can't do anything at it. You can't do anything with it right now, but you know what I mean? Like so once you complete that first boss, and I might actually even allow you to enter the Hell Fortress early if you want to. So there'll be some people who just get like raffle stomped by like level 50 mobs. sort of sort of mean. I don't know how I will maybe I'll have like an enemy that is sort of like a gate guard that doesn't have like ranged attacks or something like that. It's kind of like tethered, and he kind of like tells you like, okay, I'm not even gonna be. I can't even touch this guy. But the first like animus portal might be like right here, and this will be the one that takes you to that spot. And the animus portals being infinite dungeons, you'll have like an interesting time like coming back to it, and like if you die, you drop whatever, all your loot and stuff like that, and you don't get a chance to get it back. But sort of there's almost kind of like a permadeath thing to it, but you don't lose experience points or anything when you die. Um, but your goal is going to be to like get better and better loot and like get better, just keep grinding. If you think you might die because it might be too hard, like as you progress from like floor to floor, which will be make everything like one level higher. And the spawning logic will be different in the Animus Portal dungeons as well. And there will be a certain degree of random generation going on. They'll still be handcrafted areas, but they will be strung together, kind of in a way where it's like you'll have like tiles basically, and you might have like you know 5 or 6 different possible rooms, 5 or 6 different possible hallway pieces, 5 or 6. I might do something along those lines, but I might actually even keep it simpler than that, where it's just like there's just like areas that have doorways, kind of like the old Zelda dungeons. And the harder and harder that you get, like I change the color of the area so that it's like more and more red as you're getting closer and closer to hell as you get higher and higher level. And these portals will just be hidden all over the place. There'll be enough of them to get you up to level 50, and then there'll be a final one where it's just like the final infinite dungeon that uh, you can keep doing, that has like all of the best loot, has all of like the you know the best rewards so that you can grind up. Now the Hell Fortress itself, I don't know. I don't have um, any idea exactly on how I want to handle the Hell Fortress, but the Hell Fortress will be another level that's about this size, in about the size of another one of the you have like Dark Base, you have the Undertunnels, and you have the Hell Fortress. So that's three very large levels that are interconnected with different entrances and exits and stuff like that. The Hell Fortress will be just a really, really tough area with a final boss at the end. Now, he's not really the final boss. There'll be a big reveal. And then you'll actually go back to a very previous and very familiar area where the real final boss resides. And that'll be an interesting thing where, like, I kind of I show you where the the actual real deal thing is. Now, once you complete the game's main story, you'll have access to the infinite dungeon if you want to just continue playing, or you can start New Game Plus, which will allow you to basically do everything all over again, but everything much harder and much higher level. And that's basically the gist of the entire game. In other words, as far as handcrafted levels are concerned, I only have to do one more full handcrafted level and finish up on the undertunnels. Functionality wise, I need to have very, very, very basic rudimentary. I'm keeping things as simple as possible for random generation, and then functionality for enemy spawning to work within the context of a randomly generated infinite dungeon. And oh man, there's really not that much. I'd say right now that I'm roughly about 40% of the way through on all of this. So rather than trying to like release different episodes and stuff, I can make one continuous and interesting like experience, one where I kind of have you exploring areas that you've already been before, and like you're constantly discovering new locations. I can make this a really interesting and coherent like FPS. I don't think anything's really done anything for a first-person shooter where it's this close to a Zelda or a Metroidvania style of gameplay. So that's what I have in mind, and that is realistic. Considering that the random generation stuff I already have, like the spawn points I already have in place are fairly like I already have functionality that I've created. The hardest part I think would be the making sure that the boss fights feel good when you're actually doing them, and making sure that the enemy spawning system works in random gen, which I have some ideas on how that can work, but yeah, like so that's pretty much that. I think I'm still going to utilize Steam Early Access, but I'm going to have the whole game up, and I'm just going to charge for the whole game. And that's pretty much it. So you go through all this, you go to hell and stuff like that. Now, the neat thing is that about this is that if I do decide to like I get bored, I want to try and like add another episode or something, I could totally just do that and make it a DLC or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's actually the best plan of action, and I think I could do it. The cryptocurrency that I have, like posting on Steam it regularly and everything like that. I think that I have enough to be able to survive while I'm doing that. I'm thinking that I give myself about three months of busting my ass as hard as possible. I should be able to actually achieve that. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna end this video now. Going over everything like that. I want to know what you guys have, what you guys think, and that's about it. Like, that's the flow for the entire game, and yeah, there's really much else to say. So yeah, let me know what you think.